David Hopkins and Faye. What?
Yes.
The two new anchors at the LGBTQ travel show.
I'm disappointed that the largest lie from any president was that once Donald Trump lost the election, we wouldn't hear from him anymore.
Right. And by the way, as we're speaking live, Ted Cruz is probably throwing out paper towels and bottles of water in San Antonio or Houston. Probably paper towels.
He's got to follow his mentor, no? Yeah, of course.
I doubt he's even in Texas.
What a bad week that guy's had.
Yeah, he's had a tough one. And we're getting ready to pile on.
Yes.
Well, welcome to Queer News Tonight, the world's first and only LGBTQ daily evening news. It's time to queer up the news. It's 7 p.m. Monday, February 22nd, and we are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we're going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight. The world's first live daily queer evening news show. Out of the closet and into the headlines on Q News Tonight. Well, thank you for joining Queer News Tonight. This is a live, unedited LGBTQ evening news show. So whatever happens from now on, you're going to see it. This evening, we bring you the news of and a perspective representing the LGBTQ community from South Florida, America, and across our world. I'm your Queer News Tonight anchor, Al Ferguson, and tonight, let's welcome anchor Faye. What? She's out, she's proud, and unfortunately, sometimes she's certainly loud.
Not that loud.
She's a Latina to be reckoned with, half Puerto Rican, half Colombian, and 100% freaking Jersey. She's a radio personality and has the popular blog and YouTube channel called Faye What? Aiming to unite the L and the G together. She's a hostess and an MC for many South Florida events, a board member of Unity Coalition, as well as host of the new show UCTV, an animal advocate and owner of Faye's Fur Family, and is the anchor of the new Happening Out Travel news show. Good evening, Faye.
Hola, mi gente.
Let's also welcome anchor David Hopkins. David is an officer for the local charity organization, the Lambda Men's Brotherhood. Along with Faye, he will now be hosting the new Happening Out Travel news show. Welcome, David.
Hey, welcome everybody, and come follow the world with us. See what there is to see.
Absolutely. Well, tonight we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community across the world is vast, and here are the bullet points of the queer news for today, Monday, February 22nd. Let's begin by queering up breaking Q news. Today's memorial, 500,000 Americans. 35,000 LGBTQ Americans remembered, and how Q News Tonight got it so wrong. This 15-minute documentary was first broadcast on May 26, 2020. Watch this. And on the one-year anniversary of China's bulletin on a mysterious new virus, December 31, 2020, America will celebrate our upcoming New Year's Eve, the end of one of the worst years in American history, as projections are for nearly 220,000 ghosts of Trump's coronavirus. Estimates are that 15,400 LGBTQ Americans lost their lives by New Year's Eve 2020 to Trump's coronavirus. Let's all pray for a better 2021. We tribute our needless loss. We hug and say goodbye. You will never be forgotten, the 100,000 ghosts of Trump's coronavirus. Remember that 15-minute documentary was broadcast 7 months before New Year's Eve. That was a projection you were hearing. In spring of 2000, everyone at Queer News Tonight was reeling over COVID-19. Would we continue to broadcast the news? How to do it? We had a significant coronavirus outbreak before testing was even available in South Florida, and we lost a host, Ron Bruneski, after an appearance on It's Happening Out. So we produced a short documentary called The Ghosts of Trump's Coronavirus.
We were approaching 100,000 deaths, and we told the story from the perspective that the ghost would gather one final time at Trump properties and gave the story timeline of Trump and COVID-19. We projected by January 1st, 2021, there would be 220,000 dead. We received backlash and shock on our 7-month in the future projection. By the time we reached New Year's Eve, we found we were completely wrong. Our prediction of 220,000 dead was dwarfed with the reality of 350,000 dead.
So today, when we cross 500,000, we take a moment to remember, to mourn. 35,000 LGBTQ Americans are gone. So much could have been done by a president and an administration that largely cared more about themselves than the American people. We're sad. We really had no idea in spring of 2020 how many ghosts of Trump's coronavirus there really would be.
We remember 500,000 Americans are gone, more than both world wars and Vietnam all combined.
We remember 35,000 LGBTQ Americans gone, more than the AIDS crisis.
We remember February 22nd, 2022.
We remember.
You know, guys, at the beginning of this whole thing, I started a journal, and I remember when they said, oh, we might have 100,000 lost. And I remember thinking, there's no way. People are going to come through. We're going to have programs. We're going to get a vaccine soon. People are going to do what's right. Our president's going to take care of us. Wow, we were just all so wrong, so wrong. Last year, we almost were at what heart disease killed in Americans. You know, we were off by maybe 70,000. You know, it's the second killer, cancer. We were right up there with that in COVID deaths. We will never forget.
Just this week, the partner of one of my Facebook friends passed away from COVID. It's still happening. And then, you know, there's videos locally of one of the bars having a Mardi Gras party on Saturday, and wall-to-wall people, no masks. We can't help, you know, people blame Trump, but the community doesn't seem to care either.
You know, I don't think I will ever forget the moments that went and led up to us producing that 15 minutes. We basically suggested if there were ghosts of people that had died from coronavirus, we called it Trump's coronavirus, where would they gather? What Trump properties could be filled at certain times in the timeline leading up to Memorial Day, finally to the Rose Bowl, when there was no other place that they could all gather. I remember so much comment, both internally at Happening Out Television Network, of our projection of going forward what was going to happen in coronavirus and the number of people that were going to die. And I remember the pushback I got from so many people that we were following the study projections that 220,000 people would be dead in the 1-year anniversary of coronavirus being announced by the CDC in this same strange new virus coming out of Wuhan, China. And we got it wrong so badly that there was 130,000 more deaths than we even projected. And now we're sitting 50-some days later, and we had more deaths in the last 50-some days than in the first 6 months, 7 months of coronavirus in 2020. Today is a milestone, February 22nd, 2020, and everyone at Happening Out Television Network remembers. Next, we are going to queer up entertainment. Disney warns viewers that The Muppets was wrong then, and it's wrong now. Disney Plus has added a content warning to the beginning of 18 episodes of The Muppet Show, which started streaming on the platform on Friday. This warning states, quote, "This program includes a negative depiction or depictions and or mistreatment of people or cultures. These stereotypes were wrong then and are wrong now. Rather than remove this content, we want to acknowledge its harmful impact, learn from it, and spark conversation to create a more inclusive future together," end quote. The disclaimer has been added to each of the episodes for a different reason, including one where Johnny Cash sings in front of the Confederate flag. The Confederacy, as you know, was the group of southern states that fought to keep slavery during the U.S. Civil War, and the flag is seen as a symbol of racism by many. The advisory note comes after several months of revisionism around films and television programs, which could be considered offensive by standards of today. The reassessment of old content was prompted by the Black Lives Matter protests last summer and has sparked debate around programs and films ranging from Fawlty Towers and Gone with the Wind to Little Britain and Beau Selecta.
I know that I'm not the only one, guys, that thinks that this is Disney being genius, like just being genius. Because my first thought was, okay, so just remove the content, don't let this out again. But no, we're just going to put a disclaimer and all is forgiven. Everything's okay. You know, I think it's genius, you know, and the more I thought about it, you see some shows from the past and you're like, wow, this was very rude. This was very discriminatory. Nobody says anything about Miss Piggy. She was basically sexually assaulting Kermit at every single angle. Poor guy.
Yeah.
You know, I would rather this than censorship. Remembering our history and the times in which things are produced are important for conversations about progress. You know, things like, what's the movie with the slave and the cartoons? I can't, the one that the ride at Disney World was based on, Song of the South.
Yeah.
Like that's a perfect example. That's been blocked from sale in the U.S.
Jungle Book, too.
Yeah, a lot of those. And they could be interesting period studies instead of just hiding them away.
Well, again, I echo Faye's comment, genius at Disney. I would much rather see the content and them draw attention to the verbal or action offense and then talk about it, because the conversation of the offense is as valuable as anything you could do. Yes, you can shut it away, but there's no value and there's no learning experience going on. Disney Plus has made a really, really smart decision to represent the Muppets in this way.
Next up, we queer up politics. Malcolm Kenyatta kisses fiancé in U.S. Senate run announcement. Watch this.
Government hasn't worked for working families like mine. I know what it's like to see an eviction notice, to work a minimum wage job. My first one was at the age of 12, working to support my family. My dad was a social worker. My mom was a home health care aide. No matter how hard they worked, they struggled to make ends meet for me and my siblings. And unfortunately, my story isn't that unique. It's familiar to Pennsylvanians all across the Commonwealth. Working families from Philly to Erie, from Scranton to Johnstown, from Bethlehem to Uniontown are resilient and leaning on one another. But Pennsylvania and America are at a crossroads. After 4 years of division and just over a month since a failed coup at the United States Capitol, we face a question of who we want to be as a country.
Pennsylvania State Representative Malcolm Kenyatta has announced his candidacy for the U.S. Senate. The 2020 Out 100 honoree made the announcement Thursday to Joy Reid on the Read Out on MSNBC. Kenyatta said, quote, "There is nothing written on a tablet somewhere that says America has to succeed. You know, America succeeds because every generation steps up to protect and expand the promise of America," end quote. The two-term state representative is running to fill the Senate seat currently held by Republican Pat Toomey, who announced he won't seek re-election when his term expires in 2022. Kenyatta will be running against John Fetterman, who is currently the state's lieutenant governor, and John McGuigan, both Democrats. Kenyatta is considered a rising star in the Democratic Party. He was one of the history-making queer party members asked to speak at the virtual DNC last year, and he didn't come alone. While he took that opportunity to honor the, quote, doctors, nurses, and home healthcare aides in Philadelphia, end quote, on the front lines fighting the global pandemic, he also famously brought along his fiancé, University of Pennsylvania professor Matthew Miller.
This is an amazing story. Even if he doesn't win, the visibility is so important to our community, and it's great to see somebody successful, especially a person of color who is part of the LGBT community, getting their name out there. And
even broader for me, we get another national prominent candidate kissing a man, kissing his husband. Representation matters, and that representation is very powerful. Buttigieg opened a door that can never be closed again, and he's the next implementation step of that representation. He's got formidable talent that he's running against, including that lieutenant governor in Pennsylvania. The other interesting thing here is if you're a Republican, the story of 2022 is what's going to happen in the Senate. It's 50-50 right now, decided by Kamala Harris. But the Republicans are going to climb a hill. This seat is one of the many seats that they could lose in 22. And let's hope they do.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm piggybacking off what you guys said. I think that Mr. Kenyatta is someone definitely to watch. So if he doesn't win this seat, just keep your eye on him, because he definitely is going to represent our community in the future in a big, big way.
You helping shake things up. Next, we queer up religion. At least 36 anti-LGBTQ plus religious freedom measures are in COVID church bills. At first, advocates wondered if it wasn't a mistake. South Dakota's Senate Bill 124 aimed to give churches leeway to operate during the pandemic, but it contained 4 lines that, in advocates' generous reading, were vague, too broad, or perhaps just poorly written. In another interpretation, those same lines were a revival of language used to discriminate against LGBTQ plus people. If passed, SB 124 would allow churches to hold indoor services despite COVID-19 restrictions. The bill states that the government would not be able to, quote, substantially burden a person's exercise of religion, end quote, without compelling government interest. That language echoed the Religious Freedom and Restoration Act, known as RFRA, a federal law passed 27 years ago. The law, once intended to protect minority religions and indigenous people, has since been copied by state legislatures and used to discriminate against LGBTQ plus people and people trying to access reproductive health care. Vivian Topping, Director of Advocacy and Civic Engagement at the Equality Federation, a coalition of state-level LGBTQ rights organizations, said, quote, "I don't believe in accidents during legislative session. There's always someone behind something somewhere," end quote. There are at least 36 RFRA-type bills that have been filed in state legislatures since January, 25 of them tucked into bills intended to allow churches to operate during the pandemic. The spate of RFRA bills seems to underscore a larger trend. Topping has counted at least 184 anti-LGBTQ plus measures filed in state legislatures this year. That tally, however, does not entirely reflect all of the RFRAs woven into COVID church bills. Topping said, quote, "This session is one of the worst I've ever seen. We're seeing anti-LGBTQ plus bills moving faster than we expected them to. We're seeing them pop up more," end quote. This will be a key focus of this week's Equality Act, the fight of anti-discrimination versus religious freedom.
You know, David tells the story in the last sentence to the soundbite and the bullet point. The Equality Act fights this directly. Our fight, certainly for the next 2 years, is not on the federal level, it's on the state level. This is how they're continuing, quote unquote, to get the LGBTQ community, and they're hiding it in religious freedom language that is going to implement anti-discrimination against the LGBTQ community. The Equality Act is completely designed to prevent this on the federal level, so state laws cannot be implemented in the way that they're doing. And it will come down to anti-discrimination for the LGBTQ community through the Equality Act, or the continuation of religious freedom that allows you to not sell the cake, regardless.
And I have to echo what the Director of Advocacy, Vivian Topping, said. There are no mistakes. You know, this was deliberately put in there. We have to read the fine print. These bills can literally endanger our community. So it's scary times. But Equality Act, here we come. Here we come. We need you.
Yeah, it's that fine line between freedom of religion and freedom from religion that our Constitution provides. It's going to be an interesting fight, to say the least.
Well, next we're going to queer up South Florida. The Miami-Dade Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce is launching a series of interesting events this week to engage with the LGBTQ plus community. The MDG LCC is among the largest nonprofit organizations in the country for gay and lesbian businesses. This week, they are presenting 3 different events meant to help members of the LGBTQ plus community. On Tuesday, they will have a webinar discussing healthcare as part of a series promoting community development. This event will be sponsored by Florida Power and Light. We'll have representatives from the Florida Department of Health, Jackson Health, AHF, and Baptist Health. On Wednesday, MDG LCC will present a virtual SOCAM, the Support Our Cultural Arts Members Social, presented by Bacardi and hosted by the Institute of Contemporary Art in Miami. This social event will feature Cuban artist Tomas Esson. Finally, on Thursday, the Young Professionals Network presents 5 ways to use social media to connect with your audience in 2021. It's going to be held at the Our House Eatery and featuring Bianca Saltz-Musi from True North Consultation. For more information about these interesting events and how to engage with the local business community, visit gaybizmiami.com.
I don't know about you guys, but I am marking my calendar, and it's so good to see these events happening. And they're covering all the bases. They're covering healthcare. They're covering culture, you know, in our LGBTQ community. Kudos to all the folks that are putting these events together.
Yeah, on last week's episode of Gay Town Hall, we discussed entrepreneurship and how difficult it is to start a business in today's economy and pandemic, especially for minorities. So groups like this are very important for helping people get out there and start the businesses and live their dreams.
You know, one of the largest gay chambers, business organizations in the country, if there is something positive that's going to come out of COVID-19, I think this is an example of the representation of it. Because this event would not receive a whole lot of attention prior in 2019. In a year of COVID, this event becomes more important than ever before. We are broadening our interest in our bar scene and our drag queens. And that there's nothing wrong with our bar scene and our drag queens or our pride parades, but there's much, much more to our LGBTQ community. And we're seeing it in events like this and events that we're seeing all over the country that are saying, because of COVID, because of a year of lockdown, because of the collapse of our neighborhoods and communities, these kind of events are really critically important to us. And we're paying attention in a whole new way. That's awesome.
Next, we queer up trans rights. Gay camp in Michigan under fire for issuing genital requirements.
Is this a size question or?
Kind of. Brian Quinn, owner of Camp Boomerang, posted in a Facebook group this week, quote, Camp Boomerang is a private membership-only RV park/campground that allows only guys. A guy, in terms of this discussion, is defined as a person with a penis who presents himself as male and has a state issue ID that says male. We understand this statement, unfortunately, may not make everyone happy, but it needs to be clarified. Quinn continues, quote, it is our hope that everyone who visits Camp Boomerang enjoys a comfortable, safe, non-confrontational environment going forward. Being a private membership-only entity allows us the ability to build a like-minded atmosphere. We don't mean for this to come off as like it or leave it attitude, but we feel it's necessary for everyone to know exactly what our vision is for Camp Boomerang, end quote.
Needless to say, the odd declaration invited immediate online backlash, prompting more comments from Quinn adding, quote, let's be real here. If we let women that act like men in, then they'll go naked at the pool. That's when it's obvious that there's no penis. Sorry to put it bluntly, but if you don't like the rules, quietly leave, end quote. The story stuns us so completely here at Queer News Tonight, and we are just telling the story of his comments. At the time of this reporting, it appears the Facebook pages for Camp Boomerang have been taken offline. The campground has also received negative reviews on Google, awarding it only 2.1 stars, but remains open.
This is really shocking to me, to be honest with you. I was intricately involved in the formation of the largest gay campground co-op in America, the Sawmill Camping Resort. I can assure you nothing like this would ever happen at Sawmill. They are embracing to the lesbian community with weekends, to the trans community, the bear community, the leather community, the gay men's community, completely embracing. Check out Sawmill Campground in Dade City, Florida. This couldn't happen. And when I saw this story, I thought to myself, how can this owner and this business organization claim its rightful place in the LGBTQ community, but then potentially criticize Mike Pence across the border in Indiana, or they're religious zealots that say, we under religious protection don't have to bake you a cake or provide any wedding services. It discriminates. How is this not discrimination? And how is this portion of the G in the community not discriminating against another letter, the T, perhaps the L in our community? I just don't understand how in February of 21 somebody did this in our community. We have enough enemies to fight, much less ourselves.
This whole place is like counterproductive to everything that our LGBTQ community stands for, fights for, and hopes to achieve. It's completely ridiculous. And you come in and go, okay, prove it, like whip it out. It's absurd. Like this story, I almost thought it was fake news, Al, honestly.
You have to show a state ID that you're male. My goodness, that's the fundamental, it's just unbelievable.
This is kind of archaic policy that you will still see in the bathhouses, which are sexually focused. So it makes a little bit more sense there, even if it's archaic and wrong. It's a campground. Who cares what the people in the next camper over are doing? There are not enough safe spaces for members of our communities. It is, you're in the woods. You know what? If you don't like it, go behind a different tree. Yeah. That, and half these trans men probably have bigger dicks in their drawers than that guy has.
I was going to say, if Faye went to this campground in Michigan, she'd be the person on the grounds of the campground with the biggest dick. Yeah. Period.
Hey, most trans men I know are much bigger men than that.
And I'm talking about personality-wise.
Yeah.
Done. This can't. Guys, you got some problems here.
Yeah.
Well, that's our queer headlines for today. So let's catch up on the LGBTQ news surrounding COVID-19 with our special segment called Quarantine Quickies. Tonight, we told you at the top the anniversary that we are memorializing and taking a moment to remember at the top of the show. But now we report on the devastating effect the coronavirus continues to have on the American and worldwide LGBTQ community in total number of cases and deaths. Tonight we report that more than 2,014,000 LGBTQ Americans have contracted COVID-19, and more than 35,799 LGBTQ Americans have now died from coronavirus. As of today, more than 64 million doses have been administered in the United States, so we see a ray of hope at the end of the long tunnel. That's our COVID-19 news for tonight. Next, we report that Happening Out Television Network helps support our LGBTQ community. An example is Sunshine Cathedral. This is the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale, and we are broadcasting from our permanent set in supporting that partnership here. The network broadcasts the largest LGBTQ religious broadcast in the world, with more than 30,000 watching every Sunday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern, and it's totally live. We encourage you to tune in. Our campaign of sponsorship proudly supports Sunshine Cathedral is my queer church. Watch this.
Hi, I'm Victor Diaz-Herman, Chief Executive Officer of Pride Lines, and Sunshine Cathedral is my queer church.
We'd also like to thank our set designer, Concepto Modern Living, here in Fort Lauderdale, for making this set in this amazing queer church campus possible.
Finally, we thank Queer News Tonight's hotel sponsor, Best Western I-95 Fort Lauderdale. This is the closest and best choice to the famous Wilton Drive, and our hosts and guests stay at this LGBTQ ally partner. We encourage you to stay here when visiting South Florida.
Well, the Queer News tonight, we are proud to support our local nonprofit organizations and their events here in South Florida. And tonight we are happy to feature Latinos Salud. Founded in 2008 to create a safe space in finding friends, support, and resources for all gay Latinos, people living with HIV, and anyone who identifies as transgender.
Clients can receive free rapid HIV and STI screenings, behavioral health and substance abuse counseling, and more, as well as research studies in one of their 3 convenient locations, located in Miami Beach, Westchester, and Wilton Manors. Joining us here tonight from Latino Salud Miami Beach is Wellness Navigator Miguel Angel Rodriguez.
He previously had the opportunity to work in several LGBTQ+ projects, including the United Nations Development Program for Latin America, the Inter-American Parliamentary Group for the Vienna World Conference, and Save the Children. Currently, he's in charge of the PrEP program for Miami Beach, with the main focus in building a relatable support system for their clients to have full access to sexual health.
To tell us more about Latino Salud and their upcoming From Social Bubbles to Community, a blended gala, is Wellness Navigator Miguel Angel Rodriguez. Welcome, Miguel, to Queer News Tonight.
Hey guys, thank you for having me.
Well, we're excited to have you in the timing, one of the most important fundraising and gala events of the year for Latino Salud, and really for the entire South Florida community, is getting ready to come up. Tell us a little bit about what you're going to be doing.
Well, we're proud to say that we're matching up with Florida AIDS Walk as well. So every donation that we are going to collect during the gala and the weeks before and after will be matched 100% by the Florida AIDS Walk. So the more help that we can get, and especially in this kind of event, it's going to be better for us and organizations, and we're going to have more resources to keep reaching to the community. I'm happy to say that we will have the performance during the socially distant event of Elisa Mora, a contestant from The Voice. We will have Johnny Manuel, an America's Got Talent contestant as well. And our AMC is going to be Stephen McLaughlin, Emmy winner and meteorologist and reporter. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Now, I understand the event is going to be held in multiple locations. You're going to do it digitally online also?
Exactly. We decided to do socially distanced for the 3 offices because we want to keep our staff and our sponsors as safe as possible. I'm going to be focusing in the Miami Beach location, which is going to be at the Axel Hotel, a few of the queer and gay-friendly hotels here in Miami Beach, which it's going to be amazing. We're going to have a great time.
And the other locations are going to be where?
They're going to have separate locations, but they're still getting a few more touches of where they're going to do it.
I see. And Miguel, your prediction of the 3 communities that are hosting, which one's going to be the best?
Miami Beach, of course.
I just wanted to give you the opportunity to give props
But you knew he was going to say that
the South Beach community. Let's talk briefly. A lot of listeners may not know about what you were talking about in terms of the AIDS Walk match. That match is, I believe it's done by AHF?
Yeah, a few of the sponsors would be AHF. We also have donations from Gilead, ADAP Pharmacy, but yeah, it's going to be mainly for AHF.
So what happens is money that is raised at your gala counts as part of the fundraising efforts for the South Florida AIDS Walk. And basically it's like a buy one, get one free. And any dollar that you contribute to Latino Salud at your blended gala is matched by AHF. So it's getting $2 for one.
Exactly. And in order to make the donations easier, we have decided to have 3 passes, 3 types of passes during the event. We have the freemium one, which is free of charge, and you can tune in, watch the event free of charge, but it will give you a button where if you choose and if you have the resources, you can donate during the event. We also have the premium, which It's open after $100 donation, which allows you to a box of goodies that's going to be safely sent to your location. And also you have premium access to the silent auctions that we will be doing, where we have stages at hotels. We have artists from upcoming artists that's going to make paintings for the show. So you have a nice package to choose. And of course, the VIP one, that is after you make $200 donations and up, and you're going to have the same boxes of party goods, but it's going to be up to 4 people. And then again, it will safely be delivered to your home.
Excellent. It sounds like a lot of fun. Tell us very quickly, for people that are unfamiliar with Latino Salud's principal mission, tell us a little bit about what the charity and the 501c3 does.
Actually, what we're trying to do is make a safe space so people can have a better experience related to their sexual health. We not only provide free treatment, but also we provide linkage to care if it's necessary, counseling, and we will give you the tools so you can have a better and a more healthy experience. One of the things that we do is trying to engage the community to have a little bit more of interaction with each other. So we're very proud of what we are doing, especially during COVID times when it was so uncertain what to do. Latino Salud was one of the main organizations that never closed doors. If there was a time to have a healthy and strong immune system, this was it, and we remain open during the entire play.
Well, thank you so much for that, Miguelito. Thank you for staying open for Latino Salud. You guys were definitely representing out in Miami Beach. I heard that you guys were one of the few clinics and places that were even open during that time. So a couple of weeks ago, we actually had a story on Q News about the HIV injectables, hopefully coming out in the next couple of years. Have you guys heard anything about that? Or will you guys be able to have that available, or what's up with that?
Well, it will always depend on the healthcare provider. We are our main goal is in the future to become a healthcare clinic, but right now we are offering free testing and linkage to those services. However, we predict
Well, we're having some difficulty with
right when he was going to give me the answer. Ow! Right when he was going to say it. We predict what, Miguel? What?
We're going to see if we can get it back. If we can't, let's talk about what we reported at Q in terms of the issues that related to HIV.
That many people, many men in our LGBTQ community that have HIV or AIDS just didn't want to take a med every single day, and a lot of them didn't even have access to the correct health care that would dispense these meds to them to keep their HIV or AIDS at bay. And so now they were offering these new injectables that would just be once a month, Al. You know what I mean? Like, wow, what a relief, not having to take a pill that you had to put an alarm on your phone and remember to take daily. Instead, you would get this injectable once a month and pam, pam, pam.
Yeah, Miguel, we think we have you back. You can hear us?
Yes,
no problem.
I can hear you guys.
Yes, okay. Faye has given the answer on HIV injectables likely much, much better than your answer would have been. So good news on the horizon in terms of injectables, and Latino Salud, I know, is right in the midst of the stories that we're frequently reporting at Q News. One last thing that I want to ask you about. I've noticed on Wilton Drive here in Wilton Manors, Latino Salud is right on the drive, is very visible almost definitely on every weekend about testing. And you basically come right out onto the sidewalks to promote when Wilton Manors is at its busiest. Has that always been the philosophy of Latino Salud, to put yourself out there so forwardly?
Well, happily, we're out and proud, and our main goal is to remain the same. We want to promote the idea of testing as a natural thing that doesn't have to have this emotionally burden of go and get into test. So we're trying to normalizing in pretty much everyone's life, that sexual health is something that you have to be proactive. So the more visible we are, the better. People have to see us as something that they can do at any time that they want, and not just something that you will do once a year, very scared of the outcome. We wanted to make it approachable to everyone.
Oh, yeah, I live about a block and a half from the Wilton Mayor's Latino Salud, and it's always great to see Nelson and the other guys out there in the evening. You know, they've got a hot dog cart right next to them, and you can go in, get a quick testing, have a snack. It's a very comfortable atmosphere, and it's good to see.
Beach location.
Yeah. Excellent. And Miguel, one last opportunity, this blended gala, one of the most important fundraising events that you do for the year. How do you go about getting tickets? How do you find out information about the Latinos Salud Gala this Saturday night?
You can go to our website, that is www.latinosalud.org, and we have the option there of purchase the ticket. And of course, you can as well come to our offices and get tested, and we have QR codes where you can scan them and make a donation if you feel like it.
Absolutely. And don't forget South Florida and anywhere that's listening to Miguel's voice, you're buy one, get one free. Every dollar you give someone else, AHF, thank you very much to AHF for our community, donates a matching dollar for your donation. Miguel, all the success of this major gala, and thank you very much for what you do, especially for the Latino community here in South Florida.
Thank you, guys. I'm happy to be here.
All right. Well, we are going to end tonight's broadcast with the big finish. These are today's silly or news that entertains the LGBTQ community. Here we go. The big finish. Ted Cruz, crappy week, just got even crappier.
Is that even possible? I mean, like, he's had a bad week.
First Donald, then the vote,
I guess
loss
when you're
of the
nothing
Senate.
but a giant turd, things are going to be crappy for you.
Yeah.
He tries to blame it on his 12 and 13-year-old daughters. He leaves the dog at home. I mean, we can go on.
My favorite is that tweet there, or that post there. My favorite new line. There are two kinds of people: those who hate Ted Cruz and Ted Cruz. Pretty much says it all. In the big finish, oh, Canada. See, Misty, you're not the only person who can sing. Well, yes, maybe you are. Yes. Okay, that's my joke too. The world's largest SnowMaze in Canada has been unveiled.
How cool. When I first looked, I was like, oh, God, please don't tell me that's Texas.
Oh
my God.
It looks beautiful. It does kind of remind me of The Shining.
Yes.
It looks beautiful.
Kinda. You know, David, it's funny. I see you right down there in the bottom right-hand corner, chasing after me with a big knife, and I'm seeing you fall. And oh, we're going to discover you in May. Oh,
come
okay.
Take your medicine.
There we go. I'm all A-okay with that. No. All right. In the big finish, Trump has been sentenced to 8 years. The Supreme Court says his tax issues are huge.
Huge, ginormous.
Breaking news.
The biggest tax evasions, all the best scumbags, you know, it's going to be huge.
Huge.
Huge. So we get to see the tax returns now and all that fun stuff?
Well, it doesn't exactly mean that, but it does mean that a federal district attorney in the Southern District of New York is definitely going to see 8 years of tax returns. And you know how good we are at keeping secrets. I mean, for sure, it's going to stay secret.
I would say his ship is sinking, but at this point, it's like a submarine that's starting to drill into the ocean floor.
Yeah. I think it's actually funny. This news breaking today on the Supreme Court. This ship, as David has just said, is sinking. And just about 100 miles south in Atlantic City, the Trump Plaza Hotel is also sinking. It seems to be the days of Trump.
His whole world is imploding. I love it. That is today's news for the LGBTQ community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ evening news show. Is our community important to you?
Then help us by liking and subscribing. Ring the bell for updates. Share this news. We are the only television live video news that is out of the closet and into the headlines. And we need your support.
I'm your anchor, Al Ferguson, and on behalf of anchors Faye What and David Hopkins, who are both hosts of the new travel news show, happeningout.travel.
Come see the world with us.
We are going to see you daily and tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Good night, America.